Loose talk in the classroom. To hurt they try and try. Strong words in the staff room. The accusations fly. It's no use. He sees her. Look, Jason Nabokov. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, deep in the bowels of our underground lair, not on permanent vacation in Delaware.
No, and I'm going to break protocol here.
Okay.
I just want to say one thing real quick.
Okay.
Jay,
Yeah.
I am coming here not in my normal horrendous, awful mood.
Okay.
Because I am coming inspired today.
Are you?
I saw several YouTube videos today of Robert Tilton. And I just want to let you know that the Lord has shined upon me with my faith, and I'm being rewarded, okay, with a great show because of my faith.
Did you send him money?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
But it's still, the Lord is still shining upon me.
Sent-
I did it right now. I didn't do it tomorrow. I did it today. Now, I'll tell you something else. Let me just say this. If the podcast business ever goes south, you and I should go into religion, and we can make some real money. Because I could do that. I could go on television.
I do religion.
Yeah, I know, but I
it's
mean,
not for money. Believe me.
Yeah, but we could do so much better. Okay,
I don't think I could do any better than I'm doing.
I saw where
I'm not saying I've arrived.
I saw where Jimmy and Tammy Faye used to live. Okay, we can do it better.
Oh
than
boy.
That. Okay, so
that's not why I do it. But
it's incidental sideline. I mean, money never hurts. So I am inspired today. I've got the spirit of Robert Tilton in me right now. Now, the song, Loose Talk.
That
I
was
know
in
who
the
sings
lyrics.
that. Buck Owens.
That's not a
No, he sings
Buck
Loose
Owens
Talk.
song. I'm sure he does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
Well, then I don't know
not
who
it.
else sings that because I was thinking of a sermon.
A Big Talk by Warrant, but that's not it either. Well,
who the hell is it?
You probably know this.
Oh, am I going to kick myself again?
Don't stand so close to me from the police.
Oh, yeah. Who's that? They got that one guy. Sting.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay. Not
Yes.
the wrestler. But
Not the wrestler, no.
the other guy, the other Sting.
Stuart-
No, he's not wrestling Elton John.
Stuart Copeland.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who's he?
He's the drummer.
Should I know him? Okay.
So probably not.
Okay, well.
Yes.
So anyhow,
but a sordid tale in there nonetheless, and we'll be getting, kind of is, our school system is.
It seems like we've been doing a lot of school shows lately. And,
well, they are getting worse.
Yeah, and every week we seem to come out with like something worse and something worse and something worse and something worse. So
yes.
It's sort of, I don't know. It's just bad. I'm just, like I've said before, there are days I'm glad I'm not a parent, and this time I think has got to be one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll take being a parent. I just hope I can
But
have
you
enough
get-
positive influence.
Yeah, you just get the slings and arrows from too many places nowadays.
Yeah.
Whether it's the internet, whether it's TV, whether it's, the schools, it's like there's no safe, you can't just put your kid in front of the TV and turn on Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, Jay.
Yes.
So, of course, I don't know the freaking song, and of course, it's a band I know, should have known, but we're going to move on and see what you know.
Nothing.
Because it is now September.
Hey, last couple months, I've got a couple right each month.
Yes, that's right. And I think you'll get a few right this month.
All right.
I don't want to say I'm giving you some gimmies because I don't like saying that, and I don't like when it's said to me. So
Yeah. Again, terrible with dates, great with stories. So we'll see.
Okay. It is September, the first half of September. I'm
Yeah.
just going to limit it to that. And we're going to start in world history, Jay. Now I'm guessing. Well, again, I'm not gonna pray tell here. But we have the date of September 1st. And the date of September 1st is very important in world history in the year 1939. Can you tell me what happened on that date?
39. That was
right between 38 and 40.
That was the day the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
Who was that? Animal House?
Yeah, John Belushi. Yeah.
You're on the right track.
Yes, no, I figured I was 39. How much in world history was going on other than the beginnings of World War II? The events that we, of course, were not in it at that point.
And I'm one that contends World War II started in 1931. But when Japan invaded Manchuria. But that's me. Of course, I'm alone in that.
Nobody kind of had their eye on Japan at that point,
Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935.
Yes, they sure did. But this is probably, I would say,
you're Jay. I'm already giving you half a point. You're so close.
I'm going to say that this was the date of the raid.
This was the date.
All right.
This is recognized, and like I said, I sort of disagree with it, but it was recognized as the day World War II officially began with
that's kind of what I said, I guess.
Germans and the Russians invading Poland from both sides. And that began on September 1st. 2 days later, France and Great Britain declared war on Germany. Of course, the Ribbentrop Molotov Pact was not known publicly.
Right.
That they had cut a deal to let this happen. The Russians had cut a deal with the with the Soviets.
Over on our sister show with you, I think that would be a fascinating podcast sometime if we talk about like Russian history and like the beginnings of, because it's such a complex relationship between Russia and Germany and how they invaded Poland, but then fierce enemies.
And they became the worst of enemies after that. And I think that amazing that a guy like Joseph Stalin is crazy. Only a crazy man can fool a crazy man.
Yes.
Joseph Stalin trusted one person on the face of the earth, and his name is Adolf Hitler.
Yep.
I marvel at that all the time.
Oh, yeah. But it doesn't get talked about enough. Everybody says how bad Adolf Hitler was, and he was. No question about it, but everybody seems to also ignore how terrible Stalin was, how many more people he killed, how many people he enslaved, how many decades that went on before finally the Soviet Union broke up.
I'm going to go on the record, Stalin was worse.
Absolutely.
His system of government.
And I'd say Mao was worse than Stalin.
Yeah, and their system of government still exists.
Yeah.
North Korea, China. I mean,
absolutely. Vietnam.
It's still going on
Cuba.
today.
Yeah.
So I think they were way worse. I think it's glossed over because I don't want to say we sided with the Russians in World War II. They were already in the fight. We didn't pick them as partner.
No.
So, and I think that's kind of why. And I think the photos at the Holocaust. I mean, I think if you go to the famine in the Ukraine in 1932,
absolutely
33, and you're going to see just as horrible things.
Oh, the Russians were terrible to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, it was. It's. I think one of the worst times, and of course the show trials in the 30s. All of the people from Kamenev to Zinoviev to Nikolai Bukharin, who were all the leaders of the revolution, were all tried and killed.
Yeah.
It's just there's maybe a handful that weren't, and so.
But it's a very
one of
brutal place. I mean, going back to
the Tsar was a picnic,
right?
Compared to what happened under the Soviets.
Rasputin.
I mean,
terrible.
And I think Lenin is not seen for
Ivan the
all
Terrible.
The crimes. That Lenin put the system of government in place. That a Stalin would emerge. You create a one-party state, the biggest a-hole is the person who's going to emerge from that.
Right.
So,
but Lenin, I mean, look at Lenin. The guy just looks evil, and how many people afterwards used kind of his archetype to create evil characters. Well, the people that look like Vladimir Lenin.
Yeah, and the cult of personality that came out of it and all that. Yeah. It's just horrible. All right. moving on, we'll get to something better than that. We'll go to the world of sports.
Just about anything's better than that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Root canal, whatever. Go to the world of sports, Jay. This is something I witnessed. Maybe you did too. I'm not sure. An incredible achievement happened in the sports world on September 6th, 1995.
Ooh.
I'll give you a hint. It's in the sport of baseball.
I figured, and I was going to say something about possibly a perfect game being pitched.
Okay. It's not right, but I don't want to say you're barking on the right tree, but you're an achievement even greater than that.
Achievement even greater than a perfect game.
Okay, I'll give you another small hint because this is not an easy one.
Yeah.
A record was broken that day.
Oh.
So
was that the day that Sammy Sosa beat the home run record?
No, and it was McGuire who did that first.
Oh, McGuire did it first.
That was
but then
1998.
Sosa came later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. But
a couple years
I didn't say whose record he broke. I just said he broke the record.
It was... You're off by 3. You're probably very close to the right date, though.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it would have been September sometime that happened. But, yeah, that was in 1998.
A record, huh? 300th win for somebody. I don't know.
Okay, you're going to kick yourself.
Yeah, probably.
That was the day that Cal Ripken broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive games record, 2,131. He ended up at 2,632. I would say that record is secure as Cy Young's 511 wins.
Probably.
Nobody plays every game anymore. It's just sickening. Hard to believe that was in my lifetime. I remember watching that, though.
Yeah.
Him breaking that record right in the middle of the 5th inning.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the next one. How about this one in American history?
Okay.
September 12th, 1962. A very famous speech was made that day. I'm curious if you know who did it and what it's about.
Very famous speech in 62. Well, this is, trying to think where we were in the scheme of things. Is that the, that would be the big, oh goodness. I'm trying to think of the name of the, ask not what your country can do for you.
President Kennedy?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you half a point.
Okay.
You got the guy right.
Yeah.
But that was his inaugural address on January 20th, 1961. Okay. So, but you're half right.
Okay.
President Kennedy is who I'm looking for. But he gave a different speech this day, September 12th, 1962.
Where's Marilyn?
No, Marilyn was probably there. She might have been dead by then. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. The speech was probably better than that. Yes. Okay.
Riveting radio.
Yeah. Had to do with the Bay of Pigs.
Okay. The Bay of Pigs was in 1961 also.
Criminy,
it was about a month after he was president, actually.
I don't know.
This was the speech where he made the famous "We choose to go to the moon by the end of this decade."
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He made that at Rice University out on a football field that day. Of course, allegedly we accomplished that, but I'm a skeptic that we ever did. That's for another podcast. Yeah. So, yes, that was made September 12th, 1962. Where's Rice? That's Texas? Rice University?
You're going to make me look that up right now. I don't know.
I think it's in Texas.
I'm not sure.
All right, we're going to get it more in your wheelhouse.
I can no longer make jokes about where it might be because that would be...
Well, it's not San Francisco, right? Rice-A-Roni?
That's a good joke.
What were you going to say? I don't even want to know.
No, that's...
Real humor has an element of the truth.
It doesn't say where it is.
Really?
Athletic teams, Rice University's comprehensive. It is in Texas, Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get in your wheelhouse a little bit. I don't know if you like this kind of music or not.
Yeah.
The famous death in music occurred on September 13th, 1996.
1996. A death in music. Roy Orbison?
No. I want to say Orby was 1990-ish.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did he go? I don't know if he went before Cobain, because he did that Traveling Wilburys stuff.
Now you're going to make me look it up.
Yeah, I am. How does it feel, buddy?
You keep thinking.
Well, I will do that, because obviously it's not Roy Orbison.
Orbison died in 1988.
Really? That early? Did they... Was the Traveling Wilbury stuff that early?
Well, it had to be.
Wow.
Unless they release some stuff.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought that was 90s.
You call it. No.
I don't know. What do I know? Anyways, so if we're talking about somebody that died in 96...
like I say, I don't know how much of this genre of music you like, but...
Right. Well, I mean, I like a lot of things. If we're talking like old country, I have no clue. If we're talking like merengue or...
I'll give you one more hint here, okay? It's not country, it's not merengue, whatever the hell that is. Okay, it's not that.
Man.
If I give you any other hints, I'm going to give it away.
Okay. How about... why can't I... He was before that, wasn't he?
God, you're going to make me look that damn thing up, too. It was not
I
Louis
think
Armstrong.
he was in the 80s.
See what, the old trumpet player or something?
Yeah. What a wonderful world. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I originally cut that, too.
Really?
He stole it from me. Louis Armstrong was 1971.
What?
Yeah. He's born in New Orleans, died in New York.
See, terrible
Poor
with dates.
guy dies in New York.
Terrible with dates, yeah. That's not a good place to die.
No, it's not a good place to live.
Lots of people die there, though.
Not a good place to live either. Okay.
I give up.
That is the day in a shooting, the death of Tupac.
Oh.
Tupac.
All you would have had to say is his criminal aunt.
Exactly.
Is
if I'd have said the genre or
still
something
on the
like
lam.
That. Yeah. Tupac. Actually, he was shot on September 7th.
Yeah.
And he spent 6 days in the ICU. He succumbed on September 13th, 25 years old. So.
Yeah. Well, I blame Asada.
I share that blame.
Yeah.
All right. American history. Jay, we'll do one more.
Yes.
American history in Philadelphia on September 17th, 1787. We're going way back.
Yeah.
What happened on that day?
1787. Let's say that is the day they... oh, boy. Why am I not... the Articles of Confederation.
Oh, Jay.
How long did that take to come up with? Because it's before the Constitution, and it's after the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, wrong and wrong.
What?
Well, yes, but you got the dates all wrong.
Oh. I have the dates all wrong? The dates wrong.
That is the day. It's not the Articles of Confederation. It's what came after that. That is the day that the Constitution was officially signed in Philadelphia. It is known as the birth date of the Constitution. Now, it was not ratified by all of the states
91,
until, no, it was the next year in 88 because that's when George Washington became president.
Right.
The Bill of Rights was in 1791. A lot of people don't know that was not part of the Constitution.
Right. It was not originally part of the Constitution. The states were not happy about it.
Yeah, I think they bargained for that later. And originally, funny thing is, originally there were 12. I don't know how they could have done to 10. I don't know what was cut out, but so
probably need it now, whatever it was.
Yeah, more than ever. So once the Constitution went into effect, which was the next year, that's when President Washington was he was more or less handed the presidency, but elected, and he was sworn in on April 30th, 1789.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people know a lot about the government that we had under the Articles of Confederation.
No, they don't know at all.
You know, and it's like we had a whole other government set up.
Well,
to a point.
And we also had the states kind of acted as independent countries. There was no...
Right.
They had the one state, one vote thing, which was a mess. And, you know, I say this to the people of the founding fathers. I always say their brilliance of coming up with a system of government that made nobody happy, which was the perfect solution to, you know, all the problems they addressed in the Constitution, all of the rights that were endowed on us by our Creator, not given to us by government. I mean, I'm always just blown away by how they got together and figured that out. You know, because the country could have fallen apart easily at that time. You know, and the office of the presidency was... In fact, there's stories when Washington stepped down after 2 terms. If you ever hear of George III, who was King of England for like 52 years.
Yes.
Just beside himself that Washington.
I know. Like, who would do that?
Really? The guy quit? He let go of power? He never got paid?
Yeah.
I mean, George Washington, let me just say this. From the time he got into the Continental Army in 1775 until he left the presidency, March 4th, 1797, he never was paid a cent.
Didn't even take up the GI Bill.
No. He did, he submitted expenses.
Yep.
And that was all he was paid the entire time.
But yet he was in debt. He wasn't a rich man.
No, he was not. He inherited a lot of it from his brother Lawrence, including Mount Vernon, but it took a lot of money to run places like that at that time. And he was not a wealthy guy. I mean, he was well-to-do compared to an average person, but he was land rich, not money in the bank rich, which is a big...
Which is why he wasn't able to get rid of his slaves, because he had all this debt.
Thomas Jefferson was the same way at Monticello. He couldn't operate it any other way. So, I mean, it was... and it's so sad how he passed away. I mean, I don't know how many people know the story of that he died. He had a sore throat. And, they, at that time, they thought everything was in the blood. They bled him, and he bled out.
Yep.
It's just so horrible when you think about it. But... anyway, we'll get into President Washington maybe in some other, a guy I don't think to this day gets the credit or anything that he deserves. I think it's just...
It's kind of a bad deal when your best president is the first one, and it's downhill from there.
Well, and I mean, all of the precedents that he set, like, I'll just say one story quickly. Two things. In the presidential oath, which has never changed.
Right. He added,
"So help me God,"
at the end.
Kissed the Bible.
Yeah.
And now everybody says, "So help me God."
Right.
Washington then, when he was done, went inside, and at that time it was in New York. They had not reached a deal to have Washington as D.C. as the capital yet.
Right.
That came later. He came in and he gave a 29-minute speech to members of Congress. Later, that was dubbed his inaugural address. He didn't say it was.
Right.
But now that became the tradition that the president gives a speech. And, of course, he made a farewell address, which I would say anybody ought to go back and read. You talk about a far-sighted guy.
Yeah.
It's like Washington was talking about last week when he's in there. So, I mean, go check that out. You wouldn't believe. He talks about, getting too much entangled in foreign governments and so on and so forth. I mean, it was really, I think, a tremendously far-sighted thing to say. So, anyhow, Jay, we, I said I was in a good mood and that everything was shining upon me.
Yes. That ends now.
But I'll tell you what. Education Minnesota and what's going on in our public schools, that could put Jesus Christ in a bad mood. I mean, it could just it could bring down anybody. Richard Simmons would get in a bad mood reading about it.
I don't know about that.
He'd pop his beach ball and he'd straighten his hair. He'd do something. He'd be upset. What's going on in the public? We talk about a lot about the curriculum and what's going on in these public schools. I think one thing that we have not talked about very much, and we're planning on doing that today, is what the teachers are being taught. Yes. Somebody has to teach this crap. And of course, you can count on Education Minnesota to have all of it down right on paper for us.
Oh, absolutely.
In their MEA online for educators, these trainings are available to Education Minnesota members only, because I want to attend one of these.
Yeah? Good luck.
Well, maybe I'll steal somebody's identity and I'll go attend one of these because, you're getting these online books, and I'm at educationminnesota.org. There's a education advocacy page. And there's an online book dated June 22nd, 2021, and that's kind of what we're going off of.
Yes.
And we're just kind of summarizing the things that they are discussing. I don't know what they're discussing in it, okay? But, I mean, we know generally speaking.
Right.
But this is actually more of like staff, what do you call it?
It is staff development. And so when they take all of those million days off a year saying, professional development or,
This is professional
This is what they go do is they take these classes.
Yes, and notice we will not mention anything here about math, science.
No.
Anything like that. It's not about getting kids to learn things. It's all about this equity stuff, this LGQBT stuff, critical race theory. Everything's racist.
Right.
That's really the theme of these trainings.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. So we're helping some people out with a school board race at some point, and I'm kind of going through their district plan. Every district has a strategic plan, and so that's part of
Timbuktu to Tijuana to Jerkwater, Oregon. They're all sort of similar, which is amazing. It's like comprehensive city. It's amazing how they, the cities all want sidewalks and transit and housing on top of each other and green space and places for people to urinate in public. I mean, it's always the same stuff.
Yeah, it is, but so we're going through this strategic plan, and I happen to come across one of and it's hidden here, where, it all sounds super innocuous when you're going through, we want, this and that, and it doesn't mean a lot unless you know what to look for. But then they break it down from a mission statement to goals and then actions to support those goals. And when you get down into that, this specific school district was saying that they wanted to make it a matter of principle to take and implement the things that teachers were learning in their professional development sessions. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess, that makes sense, but what are they learning? And so, I popped out to the Education Minnesota website because they do a lot of this for relicensing of teachers, for your MEA break. Every time they have MEA, that is a chance for the union to bring in super controversial stuff. And obviously we're going to find there are some classes that are like what to do with your retirement, or having the right insurance for you. But there's also a lot of
something
things
they just can't do. It's funny. My job does that, and they give me a handbook, and I go read it myself.
Yeah. So here there are far more trainings that I don't think I want implemented in my school district. So we're going to go through some of those and let you know what your teachers are being taught and maybe also being helped implement by the district.
Well, it kind of one of the things I noticed is how you can become a certified negotiator for education support professionals. They teach you how to bargain.
Yeah.
This course will address the legal basis for bargaining, how to create an effective and functioning bargaining team, and so on and so forth. So I mean, it's like they're going to teach you how to go extort for every dollar that you can. I mean, I usually don't use that word, but I think it's appropriate here. They also have a part 2 where it's essential that we recognize the vital importance of the real perceived and potential power of our union. When you build engagement, your power grows. I mean, here they're just sort of unapologetic about, growing power. Once again, so far, Jay, I want you to notice we've mentioned nothing about kids learning.
All right.
Okay, just certified negotiator program for teachers. In this course, 4 hours long. In this course, negotiators will acquire knowledge and skills used to lead their locals to settlement. And I don't mean that they're moving to another land. The following essential aspects of bargaining will be covered: foundation of labor law, member engagement, negotiation research, costing overflow, blah, 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 blah. All bringing those topics to the table. Now, so basically, you can take an entire day of just to learn how to go and learn how to, instead of bargaining back and forth, listening to your members, what are they interested in, doing what's maybe best for everybody. And certainly nothing to do with students.
Right.
It's just sort of how can we get every nickel out of this?
Yeah.
How can we
get ours?
PR, how we can do something to the public, how we can grow our power. I mean, that's pretty scary statements. I mean, if you read that in a corporate, if this were an oil company out here with internal statements like this, they'd probably get called in front of Congress.
Yeah.
Now, here's interesting, too. Now we get into the classroom stuff. And no, once again, it's not about achievement, but it's about students' emotions, Jay.
Oh.
Classroom mindfulness.
Yes.
Now, I know you practice this.
Oh, all the time.
Participants will learn about mindfulness practices, as well as how they can be used in the classroom to help students focus and manage their own emotions. You got me feeling emotion, right?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I don't know. Good rendition, though.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
After the session, participants will walk away with an easy-to-use action plan they can implement to their classrooms. Okay, so in 1 hour, they're going to learn how to manage students' emotions. The hell with whether you're learning something.
Right.
I just want to make sure you don't feel anxiety over there. And if you do, we're going to medicate
When
you.
Jimmy's freaking out in the corner, what do you do with him?
I don't know.
In 1 hour, you too can calm Jimmy down.
You got an easy-to-use action plan. That's what it says here.
Yeah, if Jimmy hasn't seen his parents in 3 days and hasn't eaten for 2 of those days, you're gonna in 1 hour figure out how to solve that problem. That's good. You know what I love when they.
I hope you're saying that facetiously.
Yes, absolutely. When they take programs and for the sake of getting relicensed, you can take a multi-part program that teaches you in depth things like.
Now, do teachers have to get re-licensed?
Yes, a license lasts for X amount of years.
Okay.
That's kind of why you do you have to do X amount of continuing ed every so many years.
I was going to say, because my wife has to do her nursing license every 4 years.
Does she have to take continuing ed to do that
X
as
amount
well?
of hours. It's not very many. It's 20 or something over like a 3-year period. But
that's about the same for teachers, or was.
Well, and it's supposed to be like a driver's, if you're a professional driver, you've got to take a test every time you renew your license. 4 years, I believe.
Wow.
You've got to pass it for a commercial driver.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at cultural competency training, part 1. This is part 1 of, you guessed it, 4 parts. Actually, you probably didn't guess that. That's a lot of cultural competency. But what you probably did guess from that name is that this is full of a bunch of garbage. All right. Here we go. As of July 31st, the entire 4-part cultural competency sequence is now available as a learning path, located in the catalog, and then click on the learning path toward the top. We highly encourage anyone starting this series to please enroll in the learning path instead of the course. These courses are available separately for members who started the series pre-COVID. Thank you for understanding. This 4-part series is designed to deepen educators' understanding of their own frames of reference, the potential bias in these frames, and their impact on expectations for and relationships with students' families, and the school communities. Let me break that sentence down quick. This is designed to help educators understand that your own frame of reference is wrong, that what you bring to the table, your experiences are wrong because you're biased. And so it has an impact on your expectations for the students and your relationships with the students and their families and the school communities. So participants will engage in self-reflection around the following topics: racial, cultural, and socioeconomic groups, American Indian and Alaskan Native students, religion, systemic racism, gender identity, including transgender students, sexual orientation, language diversity, and individuals with disability and mental health concerns. Participants will not receive relicensure credit for the cultural competency requirement until they have completed all 4 courses. So, and they also said this training is designed to meet the language and intent of the Minnesota statutory requirement. So Minnesota has a statutory requirement or a law on the books. There's a Minnesota statute stating that they have to learn this for relicensure.
Yeah, the Department of Education is who sets that.
Yes.
I don't know if it's I don't know that the department can write a statute, but the Department of Education has a lot of leeway. And again, where is our legislature? Where is the oversight?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear representatives whine and moan and bitch about this, but yet this stuff is all in there. I mean,
Gazelka, how'd this stuff get in?
Well, it was there before him. I mean, it was there under Palenti.
Yeah.
It was there under Kurt Dowd. It was there under David Hann. It was there under David Senjum. It was there. I don't think this was all created last week.
No,
so this
probably
has been
not
sitting there forever. It was there under Jesse Ventura, under Arnie Carlson. I mean, to lesser extent.
Yeah.
But once it gets in, this stuff just grows and grows and grows. It's kind of like weeds.
But where's the stopgap? I mean, who is willing to say no? I'm not letting this through. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And also, let me say this about the teachers: are they being given a choice here?
No.
They're not being given a choice as to whether they wanted to be part of this or not.
Right. Equity work is a journey, and in part 1, we will lay the foundation for centering equity work in your community. Participants will ground themselves with norms and vocabulary and develop an understanding the importance of intercultural competency. Now, part 2, relicensure. I'm not going to read all of this, but here's what I will say. Participants will not receive... I'm going to go down further. Equity begins with an exploration of self. Participants in part 2 will begin to understand implicit bias and the construction of privilege. And we've talked about that on this show, that if you're white, you're privileged. If you're a man, you're privileged. If, all this intersectionality crap where if you're this, if you're that, you have privilege and you're more privileged than somebody that is this or that. And it's ridiculous. One of the goals of the session is develop strategies to recognize.
Jay, hold on. What number are you at here?
This is Cultural Competency Training Part 2.
Okay, hang on. So we are number 12.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the goals of the session is to develop strategies to recognize and dismantle implicit bias in their lives. Learners will read articles right in their workbook and watch TED Talks to deepen their knowledge and understanding. How about no thank you?
Okay, I'm gonna jump in here. I want to, and you can continue, but I want to move to number 15. I think this is really where it gets turned on its head, because there's a couple parts to the cultural competency training that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I want to go to culturally responsive teaching through a racial justice lens.
That's the actual name of that training. That you're not describing it.
No,
that is the name of the training.
This is what they call it. This is where it's going. Look, the teachers and whoever can believe whatever they want as individuals. That's America, okay? But listen to the description of this course. This course will introduce strategies of culturally responsive teaching through a racial justice lens and how you can challenge and disrupt the systems, policies, and I don't know what that word is, that have perpetuated systemic racism. By completing this course, you will get 1 hour of CEU credit. I don't know what that is.
Continuing education.
Something, yeah. So in other words, what they're doing is they are teaching you, remember, think of what that says. Disrupt the systems. Mm-hmm. Riot, and all these kinds of things.
Right.
Defunding police, so on and so forth. They are teaching you to be an activist here.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about getting rid of racism or anything like that. This is about pushing an agenda forward.
Yep.
I mean, that's what they're doing here. They're
how to disrupt the systems, policies, and pedagogy that has perpetuated systemic racism.
Right. In other words, the hell with the law, the hell with changing the law, the hell with anything like that. What we're going to do is make sure you disrupt the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Pedagogy, the word that you said you didn't know. That has to do with the way that things get taught, what's being taught, how it's being taught. That is a huge one. So they're teaching people there how to disrupt. If you look at 13, which is part 3 of cultural competency, it kind of intimates some of the same things, where equity work must be done in relationship with others. So it means you have to really get others to think like you, is what that means.
Groupthink. Back to group.
Language is power, and identifying skills to speak up against prejudice, bias, and stereotypes takes practice. So again, we're talking about anti-racism here, not about not being racist, but this newfangled anti-racism where it's okay to show prejudice if it is combating the prejudices of the past. Like you can use prejudice to fight prejudice.
It's a justification.
Yeah, it's a justification to be prejudiced against some groups. It's the new racism.
I love number 16 here.
Yes.
Degrees, not debt. Edumacation Minnesota's Degrees, Not Debt program is a rallying cry for public support to decrease the cost of college and make it easier and cheaper to pay student loan debt. I have an idea. What the hell are your ideas?
Yeah.
You don't say anything in here. Of course, the ideas are just to shift the cost to the taxpayer. They don't say that. Many see the cost of college as a barrier to getting in the profession in the first place. No, you know what? They say you as a barrier. There's a lot of young people that are getting out of teaching. You were one of them.
Yep.
Because of people like this.
Yes.
Because of your policies and your political agenda.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's not degrees. And you know what? Let me tell you something else, too. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the cost of college. You know what? Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. There are ways out there to get around that.
Yep.
I'm not something this country's got to take some control over. And I blame a lot of it on the colleges.
Yes, I do too.
You pay $100,000 to get a degree in Native American basket weaving and you go out and work as a waiter. Why? Because the colleges know that you can go get in debt. They don't have to put relevant majors out there.
Right.
Because they'll get the money anyway.
But they're not doing this for Whitey.
Of course they're not.
No. It says further down, these challenges weaken the diversity and depth of our teaching corps. This is, again, a move for equity so that they can bring in more people who are of a diverse background, which
They're not
I
white
think,
men.
Which I think, we all do better when we learn from, different walks of life.
I think that's true if they are qualified to do the job.
Absolutely.
It's not the... You know what? Here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see the idea that I'm going to learn business from a teacher who's, with all due respect, has...
Never run a business.
Never not had a non-government job, and they're going to teach me about business. I go back to we need to expand the alternative teacher license program.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something, again, Republicans have forgotten about, discarded, couldn't care less about anymore. But I mean, imagine you can bring a real life attorney in. They can take 6 months off their job and they can actually, do you want to be an attorney because you've watched LA Law reruns for 10 years? Or do you want to be an attorney because you know what they do?
Right.
On a daily basis. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of case study. It's not necessarily Perry Mason in a courtroom.
Right.
I mean, that's part of it, but there's different attorneys. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. The alternative teachers is something that I mean, and I think private schools need to lead the way in that. They're the ones that have to lead the way in the alternative teaching stuff because it's just never going to get
homeschool too.
Yeah, I mean, they're never going to get footholds in the public schools the way people like you and I would like to see. And, you talk about things like education. I mean, there are more options for education than there ever have been. There's way more than you and I even had, Jay, 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
I mean, from going to school part-time to doing online to community college like I did.
Yep.
I mean, there are ways to make nobody says you have to graduate in 4 years. I don't know who made that law.
Yeah.
So you graduate in 5 or 6 instead of 4. When you're 50, is anybody going to care?
Kind of took 5, but
yeah, well, high school, best 7 years of my life. So I mean, I think this whole student debt cry. I mean, and I think too many people are going to college without goals. Man, they're going, and they don't know what the hell. They're just going to have fun and party.
Yeah, and and then how many people get through with college and it's like, yeah, but I don't like this. I need to go back to college.
Do you have to spend $100,000? Do you have to go live on campus? Do you have to go? I mean,
live your life and figure out what you like. And then once you figure out what you like, figure out if you need college or if you can go to a 2-year college or if you can do an apprenticeship or if life skills and learning off of YouTube are good enough to help you succeed if you work hard.
And I always come back to this. If you don't know what you want to do, go to community college.
Yeah.
Go take a couple classes over there. Go part-time. Do something. You're going forward.
Do informational interviews.
But the idea that your only alternative is to spend $100,000 to go to some prestigious place. I mean, my God, come on.
It's dumb.
I mean, get serious for a change. And I mean, and again, I put some of this too on businesses. I think businesses have got to stop requiring degrees when it's not necessary.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to get a shrinking pool of people. And
it shows you can finish something. So do a lot of other things that cost a lot less.
Shows
what?
Can finish something. Go.
I know. That's what they used to say when I was in corporate America. It's like, really, But here's the thing. About our universities.
They call it a knuckle sandwich.
This is the other thing about our...
and they're just as bad. Stuff too.
Our universities is just that they have used this as a tool to get into the minds of our young for far too long. I mean, going all the way back and maybe past, but definitely to when the Frankfurt School came over here from Germany and got into our Ivy League colleges and started to then if you will, mass produce this Marxist knowledge, and really came to tear down our foundations. And the more they got into the Ivy League schools, that's what they're thinking. Well, our colleges need to be, as astute as we can make them, and so we're going to accept those same things, and we're going to accept the same textbooks written by the same eggheads at the same Ivy League universities, and pretty soon it's everywhere, and you have people that are all brainwashed or indoctrinated in the same concepts that have ripped this country apart, especially in the last few years. You see any of these man on the street kind of things with college students, and they're dumb as a box of rocks.
Well, and I tell you what, if you want to attack equity in college, why don't we talk about all these families that get automatic entries into Harvard and in all these places? I mean, how many Kennedys have gone to an Ivy League school?
All of them?
Yeah. Are they all brilliant? Are they all
No.
I mean, Ted Kennedy, was he brilliant?
I mean, except for that dope Dale, he didn't get in. But
I mean,
Dale Kennedy.
But I mean, I don't know. But I mean, seriously, they talk about these very same people who talk about equity and all that.
Yeah.
Bobby Kennedy, who I respected, I think he had 7 kids go to Harvard.
Probably.
Now, what are the odds? Do you know anybody who's gone to Harvard? What are the odds that one family has 7 people that are so brilliant, so great, that they all end up at the top supposedly the top Ivy League school? No, it's because Grandpa funded all of them, and he gets, if you got the last name Kennedy, his great times 30 grandchildren will all get to go in for. You talk about the most unequitable thing on the face of the earth. It's that, and you can find it everywhere. The Bush family and other places.
Yes.
Where follow Chelsea Clinton on Twitter and tell me that somebody graduated from Stanford. Seriously.
Right.
I mean, she can't spell the, and yet wow. You gotta let Chelsea in. You gotta let Chelsea in. I'm gonna go pull some. I'm gonna pull your funny. I mean, that's what happened.
She couldn't have made it through Stanford Community College.
Or elementary school or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, come on. I mean, give me a break when you talk about where's the stand on that?
Yeah.
No more automatic, no more dynasty BS, none of that crap.
Well, when Daddy's got millions of dollars that he can
what about
give
equity?
To the university, these places are all about money.
And how much tax dollars are they getting? Harvard gets tax dollars.
Absolutely.
They get tax dollars just as much as anybody. So I mean, come on.
We'll have to build the new Clinton wing on the
does every building
women's restroom.
Every building have to cost $30 million? Jim Crow of the North. Number 23. Jay, your specialty on this, racist Minnesota.
My word.
Who's Jim? Boy, you know what? I'd hate to meet a guy named Jim Crow. Was there really a guy named Jim Crow?
No, this is based on a book. So
there was a guy who won the Heisman named John Crow.
Yes,
he played for Bear Bryant at Texas A&M,
no
1957.
relation.
I don't think so either.
Listeners will present an exciting multimedia journey through Minnesota's diverse history, illustrating how educators can use documentaries like Jim Crow of the North, because documentaries are never slanted, to amplify Minnesota's
point of a documentary.
Yeah. I know. Really? I watched...
It's like an Oliver Stone movie.
I watched Super Size Me, and I wanted to drive directly to McDonald's and get a Big Mac. I was so hungry.
I got a better body than that guy.
Where was I? To amplify Minnesota's diverse stories, create deeper connections with all cultures, and make the history relevant for the challenges we face today. History doesn't have to be relevant. History is. History happened or it didn't happen. And we take the lessons from history and say, hey, let's not do that again. Or, you know what? That worked out pretty well. We should keep doing that. We don't say, you know what? We can take this and we can use this to get the change we want today, whether it's true or not, which is what these revisionist historians do.
Well, and it's also the whitewashing of history, taking today's race relations and putting that on people who lived 200 years ago.
Yes.
They're all bad guys.
Right.
Now, by the way, do you know today was the day that Robert E. Lee's statue is supposed to be removed from the capital of Virginia. It's been there for 135 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Robert E. Lee, greatest general in this country's history. I mean, forget the politics for a minute, but it's just the man worshipped the state of Virginia, loved the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
Was one of the first families of the state of Virginia. I mean, his dad, Light Horse Harry Lee, who was a friend of George Washington's. And Robert Lee's statue is, I think, now pretty much dust. But that's this whole, again, it's all about political power. You watch the Cleveland Indians get their name. What are they called?
The Cleveland
why don't you just call
Guardians?
Why don't you just call them the Skid Marks?
The
Why don't you
Cleveland
just call
Guardians.
them that?
Doesn't Cleveland already have a minor league team called the Guardians?
I thought it was like a soccer team or something.
Something
Why
like
not
that.
call them
Why would it?
Why don't you just call them the Dingleberries? Seriously, what?
Yeah.
Who is I'm long to figure out how changing the name of a team does anything to advance anything other than it emboldens, these groups to go after somebody else. We got one.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to go after another. Well, see, they'll fold if we put enough pressure on them.
Go ahead.
If we squawk the loudest, even though 99% of the people couldn't care less about this.
But this is why America never negotiates with terrorists. Until now. Yeah. And we have seen what happens when you negotiate with people that are unreasonable and want to force you to do their will.
I'd rather negotiate with the mullahs of Iran than negotiate with these people.
Oh, boy.
I think they're more reasonable.
I don't know about that, but...
It's close.
Yeah. Number 24, LGBTQ plus introductory training.
So what's Q plus? Is that Q times 2?
Questioning, and then plus is for all the...
Question. I thought Q was queer.
No, it's questioning. Yes.
So
for those who don't know...
Am I ignorant now? I need to go through this training now?
I don't know what I like.
Is that the lesbian, gay, bi, trans? I thought
questioning.
Questioning plus.
Plus. I think that covers all of the weird gender stuff.
So that's the gender fluid.
Let me get the show banned. Gender dysphoric people out there. Yes. And the people who are being tricked into it.
I'm ordering a new chromosome. Yeah, those people.
In this introductory training, participants will learn important vocabulary in regards to gender and sexual orientation, because if you don't say it right, you're a hater. Participants will learn about pronouns and inclusive language with tangible ways to support LGBTQ plus students. This is part 1 of 2 trainings. Look for part 2 on MEA Online in the future.
This is how far things have gone. I probably told this story once, but I'm going to tell it again. Okay. Had a friend, had a math teacher. He was like, God, he's probably 60. Now I'm at Cooper. So I'm like 15 or 16. We're in geometry.
Yes.
And I'm going to spell a naughty word here.
Okay.
We had a triangle in geometry. Triangle FAG.
Yes.
So, of course, we start getting different time. We start laughing.
Right.
Teacher goes, hey, Richter, blah, blah, what the hell's so funny over there? And I'm like, Mr. I won't say his name. He's probably dead. Mr. Blah, 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 you got triangle FAG up there. And he turns around and goes, oh, well, you'd know a lot about that, wouldn't you? So we've gone from that to this.
Yes.
To proper pronouns. Now, let me guess here. What would be a proper pronoun to somebody who has gender whatever you
dysphoric?
Call it?
Yes.
Are you a he, she, it, they, it, was? What are you exactly?
Was? Yeah. I don't think that's...
What were you yesterday? Yeah,
No, that's dead naming. You can't do that.
Oh, okay.
When somebody changes to something else and you name what they
just
were,
call them all
that's
Pat. Let's
dead
just call
naming.
them all Pat.
I don't know what this is a course that must change by the week, because every week new things are racist, new things are seen as.
But again, what is this? What is this support LGBTQ plus students? Why is it the school's job first off, let's just say a student thinks they might be gay or is confused, or, we've talked about this before, Jay, being a teenager,
Yes.
you've got raging hormones, and maybe you don't have the best home life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you're not rooted in faith or something else. Maybe, you're kind of an outcast.
Yeah.
I can understand how somebody could go through something like that.
Absolutely, and it's tragic.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
It's hard enough to find your identity when you're a teen and in your early 20s.
Good. You have everything good. It can still be a confusing time.
Absolutely.
But to sit there and almost encourage this.
And they do. They push it.
Yeah, but why? Why don't they just let
Because
people...
you have to tear down the family in order to get everything that you want. Marxism has influenced so much of society that the family and the church are what they really... sometimes it's the only thing left standing in the way. And by painting them as antiquated institutions and tearing them down, this is the end result. This is what we get. That if we push this, and if you read Abigail Schreier's book, it is all about how, not so much for young boys, but for young girls, it's a lot of the things that, like with bulimia and anorexia, that, there's this peer pressure to look a certain way or to be a certain thing, where that's kind of what takes over with a lot of this gender stuff, why 50% of them you see walking around malls have half-shaved heads with 500 colors in their hair, and they're, all holding hands. And
maybe that's, I don't know if that's just today's, like when I was in high school, somebody take something and put it between their nose, and it just be like, what the hell's the matter? Why would you do that? I was bored, so I shoved something through my nose. Okay. I don't know if that's who they are now or what, I mean.
No, they're kind of just being pushed in this direction, It strips women, and I'm sorry for those of you that don't agree with this, I'm going to get in trouble again. It strips women of their femininity, it strips males of their masculinity as well.
Does.
And you're creating just a mishmash in the middle of confusion around. And I'm sorry, there are gender roles.
Yes.
I'm not saying that as a woman you can't do this or can't do that. Obviously you can. You're equal.
People with brains in their head know what you mean when you say
equal.
that, though, Jay.
You're equal in every way except there are physical limitations. There are emotional differences.
If men and women were the same, it'd be one boring world, okay?
Yeah.
Let's just say
Let me just say this. I don't find, no offense, I don't think there's a dude on the planet that I'm attracted to.
I'm going to agree with that.
But we're all being forced to look the same, act the same, say the same things, not be recognized as this or that.
And by the way, what is wrong with, let me tell you something, I'm going to be damned if my wife shovels the driveway or cuts the lawn or fixes anything. No, that's what daddy's for. Okay, that's what I do. All right. Now and do we do things? Do I cook for her sometimes? Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But what is wrong with the? I don't want to say the way things used to be. What's wrong with the man taking on certain roles and the woman taking on other roles? And that doesn't mean you're limited to that.
No,
it just
if you want to flip-flop them, that's your personal choice.
Well, I'm not filling up ice cube trays.
Right.
But I'll tell you what. I mean, what is this? Because I believe women are the ones really being pressured. That, hey, it's not enough for you to just have a home and be a mom, and you can't just do that. You can't sit there while your husband goes and gets all the it's the breadwinner. You're a sellout to the sisterhood, if you do that.
Yeah.
But
I can tell you, as a dad who's driven, driven in business, driven to succeed and to achieve things, sometimes just thinking, But to imagine, that sometimes I think with women that's a more innate characteristic, to want to gather your children around you, and well,
again, I don't understand why everything has to be redone and remade and looked at with shame or something like that. I mean, I also feel that it has increased the materialistic view has also been pushed by this.
Yeah.
That you got to have the biggest house and the most toys, and your little Johnny can't be without anything. You know what? When I was growing up, I had a radio, a bike, and a baseball glove. I didn't need anything else. I know you needed your ukulele, but I didn't need anything other than that.
Yeah.
And again, that's changed too.
Mm-hmm.
My little Johnny's going to have everything, and they're going to have every toy, and they're going to go to every, and it's kind of like, God, geez, really?
Yeah. PlayStation 4 isn't good enough anymore. Got to get the 5.
$1,000 for video game. I mean, you know what? Let me tell you something. I don't think my parents spent $1,000 my entire life on gifts. And you know what? I was just fine. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Meant nothing to me.
Yeah.
We had a good, fun Christmas. We're all just together. We all just had cookies and watched Home Alone. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
And I just think I think it's fed into this. Both parents have to work, and they all have to make as much money, there's just no.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, most households, both parents do have to work because of what inflation has done and the debt that we have taken on.
There's some truth to that, but I also think that there are ways to not have that happen. There are ways to limit that.
Yeah.
And I think
there's definitely ways to limit that.
I think somebody else raising your kids has become the norm, not the exception. And so,
problem is the schools are the ones raising the kids, and we're seeing here how nuts they are.
Yeah, but I always say this: if nobody'd buy a home for $1 million, no one would try to sell one for $1 million.
True.
So if you have to have the home with 8 bedrooms and 11 bathrooms, then all you're going to do is work to pay that off. You're going to be $1 million in debt your entire life.
Yep. Oh. Oh boy. Number 26.
Am I getting us in trouble or what?
No, this is good. This is good discussion. Moving Lives Minnesota, student-driven storytelling around immigration. So this is a chance, instead of for kids to learn, they get to teach everybody else. This is learning about the Minnesota Public Television Association initiative to discuss best practices for student-led media creation, receive lesson plans and ways to be involved, have hands-on practice telling their own immigration story. I think talking about that in a social studies setting, I think is good. You might want to have couple of kids that have immigrated here. Tell me what it was like to move to the United States, and helps us understand where other kids come from and all that. But we're going to let the student become the teacher, Grasshopper. It's
funny because when I was in school, I remember doing this, but it was always with exchange students. They would come from Spain or France or something like that and talk about being a kid over there and so on and so forth. I found that interesting.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was just me, and maybe it's because I'm a history buff or I'm a geography buff, but it was interesting to listen to what they thought of our schools, what we thought of theirs, and I thought that was cool. But I think the intent here is not necessarily to do what they're saying. I think the intent is to. It's a little more sinister.
Yes.
The intent is like, I'm sure the immigrants are not going to be from England or Sweden, or it's all going to be from a poor third world country.
Yeah.
And how the United States oppresses them and damn capitalism and so on and so forth. Learning about different cultures and things like that, I think, is a good thing.
Yes.
But I question the motive behind this. And I also question... We still have not mentioned math, science, English. social
it's
studies.
got to be in number 30. Let's check number 30.
I don't think so, but I'm already on 35. So
Muslims in the classroom.
Oh.
Practical advice for educators. Learn the basics of what impacts Muslim students in their daily lives in the classroom. Aspects of diet, dress, gender, relations, prayer, fasting, and Muslim holidays are integral to this topic. The workshop is meant to help identify and address Islamophobia and Islamophobic bullying in the classroom. With these tools, educators will be better able to support Muslim students and families.
Yes, because of course the Muslims are always the victims, and it's those evil white Christians.
Well, let's just see. I'm sure.
I want to hear Robert Tilton give a speech about this. That's what I'd like to hear.
But let's give him a chance. I'm sure by the time we get to the end of the list, we'll see the same topic about Christians and Jews and Sikhs and everybody else, huh?
Sikhs. Okay.
I'm sure.
If I held my breath for that, I'd be dead in a few minutes. Just to let you know.
I'm sure that it's all in there.
Well, let me tell you.
Because it's equitable, Andrew. It is equitable to talk about
I'm going to talk
everybody.
about number 35, and you're going to forget
okay.
that for just a second.
Have at it.
Race talk messaging. What, why, and how. This course introduces members to the Race Class Narrative Project, a well-researched messaging guide grounded in the principles of positive racial identity and collective action. By using real-life campaign advertisements, reflective practice, and winning narrative building blocks, participants will create their own powerful and activating message to inspire their own membership to action. Let me just restate that paragraph. We are going to give you propaganda.
Yeah.
And you are going to learn the best way to message your own propaganda.
Yes.
Race Class Narrative Project.
Race Class Narrative Project.
How much did the taxpayers pay for that?
Too much.
Yeah. And of course, we've got to have mental health.
Yes, I was just looking at that one, number 39. This is actually pretty scary.
I think, and number 40 also, suicide prevention, because again, I think some of the things they're pushing are making things worse on kids, not better.
And I think you can probably take an hour and learn about the warning signs and what to look for of someone that might be considering suicide and how to handle that. You go to school to be a teacher for 4 years, and you learn all about teaching. You learn about pedagogy. You learn about discipline. You learn about how to handle a classroom. You learn about your subjects that you're teaching. However, they don't teach you about mental health. You probably take a psychology course for a semester.
Probably. And that's probably
it's highlights.
Probably more history.
Yeah,
too.
Carl Jung, Freud. Yeah, all of those guys. This session raises awareness of key warning signs for early onset mental illness in children and adolescents and includes strategies for addressing learning challenges faced by students with particular mental health challenges. I'm sorry, but after a 1-hour seminar, you are not qualified to psychoanalyze my child. Keep your opinions to yourself.
Well, and I'm gonna make it a step further here. Kids are way too young. High school kids, I think, are one thing. But the idea that you're going to take a 5-6-year-old and try to, and the schools are doing this, put a label on them.
Put a label on them. Get them medicated.
Kid's hyperactive. Kid can't focus. Kid can't. You know what?
Yep.
I'll tell you something. Had Ritalin been around in the early 80s, I probably would have been hooked up to an IV. Okay, now, my parents would have never allowed it.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't remember that. I don't remember any of these terms that you hear now. I don't remember any friends on any pills. I mean, I don't remember anything like that. And I think a couple things have to happen. One, you parents have got to get your kids off your asses and away from the TV and from video games. And from phones. I know, here, have your phone. I got to watch my Netflix show. No, that attitude has got to change. because I think it fries a kid's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Kids need to be active. They have tons of energy. They need an outlet for it.
Yeah.
So when they sit all day in front of the television, then they try to sit all day in a classroom. Look, I would go crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? So that is not a mental illness. Okay? And I mean, the idea that any kid that young to be diagnosed with something, have a label put on them, have them, the quick fix, the wastebasket diagnosis is so disgusting. It's disgusting on behalf of these physicians. It's disgusting on behalf of these educators, these ignorant boobs who are parents. It is awful that kids are the guinea pigs for that, is sick. All because everybody wants the quick fix. Sit down and shut up. So, I mean, it's just, it's mind-boggling. If I had a kid, I would never let them take this crap. Ever.
I wonder if there's anyone we haven't offended yet today.
Yeah, you did bad on a test. I got an idea. Shut the TV off and study. How about that as a solution?
Yeah.
Oh, let's take them to a doctor. Really? Maybe your kid's just stupid. Ever think of that?
Now we did offend everyone.
Okay, fine. No, but, the point is that, again, there's not a snap your fingers answer to any of a problem that a kid can have. Okay, there isn't something they're going to snap out of in 5 minutes here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the expectation that, they're antisocial. They've got social anxiety disorder. Like anybody,
Whatever.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Come on.
Social anxiety. I'm getting anxiety.
Getting it reading this crap.
46, wealth inequality and the impact on public education. So this is another lovely topic. What you need to know about the current wealth inequality in America, funding our schools, corporate education reform, and what we can do to change it. So in other words, how do the schools get more money? And how do we use the poor to do it? That's what that means.
Well, I mean, we all know the answer to that. It's to drum up hatred so the have-nots can take whatever they want from the haves.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, the idea that, and again, the idea you're going to have equality in anything is so far-fetched. You'll never have equality in education because kids are not robots. They don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't the idea they're all going to get the same math score, they're all going to get the same science score, they're all going to be just, who thought of this crap? They didn't do it when we were in school, they didn't do it when our parents were in school, and they're not going to do it now.
Yep. I don't know.
I'll tell you, and you know what? I'm going to blame teachers to a certain extent. This is their union. If they don't like something, why don't they get rid of the people who are doing this crap? I can only guess that the teachers are on board with this.
I mean, they're not all on board with it, obviously, but
I'm sure the ones who aren't are shamed into not saying so.
Right. Either get out of your union or find some people to run for the head of your union that think differently.
If I were part of a union and they were doing this crap, I'd be out of this union, or I'd parachute into a meeting and let them know what I thought. Mm-hmm. It would not. I mean, I would speak up, but of course that's me. I mean,
right.
I just have a hard time being quiet, I guess.
Yeah. You and me both. You and me both. It's all right.
So that, and by the way, what we've gone through is only half this thing. I mean, there's other instructing stuff like this about bargaining, about building relationships, all this BS.
Yeah.
It's nauseating.
Conversational school finance. Ugh. Digital organizing 101.
Well, again, it's just that's back to propaganda. I mean, it's just, how do we free speech rights of educators? Yeah, unless you disagree, of course. Then I'm sure there's no protection.
Then, no, there's not. And we've seen that around the country with teachers getting fired for disagreeing.
Yeah, you can speak up all you want to if you agree.
Yes.
But if you don't agree, then shut up and get in line.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome, huh?
This stuff is... So
this is what your teachers are learning when they go like to MEA and things like that. It was, what episode was it? It was 181, the ME Activist Conference that we wrote about. What was the date on this? October 26th of 2020, so almost a year ago.
Okay.
It was last year's MEA conference where they brought in Dr. Bettina Love of the Abolitionist Teachers Network, who is another Marxist critical race theorizing activist group that exists to infiltrate our schools with the message that white people are racist and need to get out of the way. They use words like activists, radical, and agitators. So they brought the ME Dr. Love in
Dr. Love
to teach our teachers how to be better
the teachers
race
activists. They were just
activists.
taking days off. That's all that was. They just wanted
Better
time
race
off.
activists. And I mean, this is not someone that you bring in if you're just looking to not make waves. I mean, where other places where she has gone, there has been some upheaval, you know. I mean, you have the people on the far left that really love her, you know, for writing things like how to make anti-racism more than a performance, you know. But she has gotten in trouble as well, and kind of gotten fired from some of her speaking engagements.
Oh, damn.
Because of the upheaval that it caused.
Do I know I feel bad?
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if this is from last year. So they're not bringing her back, are they? Sorry, I just found something from Education Minnesota talking about Dr. Bettina Love to deliver keynote on abolitionist teaching, and I think that's probably from last year. But yeah, that's amazing stuff right there. That is the direction that they're pushing in, and we can't really look the other way on this stuff and just expect our kids are going to turn out all right, because they're not turning out all right. You go to the mall and you look at a cross-section of, I hate the mall, but you go look at a cross-section of kids and see how many of them are, I don't know, are they rebelling against society, or are they being pushed that way, and are they going with the flow? And
it's bad about society.
Have you looked outside
lately?
lately?
I mean, what's so bad about, having a decent haircut, not wearing clothes that make you look like a freak? I mean, what? I've never understood that. I just tell you, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I had the easiest childhood on earth. I just don't understand it. I don't get the, I mean, to me, being outlandish is wearing a tie-dye T-shirt. I mean, it's just, I don't understand. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, but, I always say, if you want to fit in, play a sport. Do something.
Yeah.
I mean, just. But the idea that we're going to sit around and shove things through our nose and color our hair, and it's just like, what is going on in your world?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but if I'd have come home with a nose ring, my dad would have probably yanked it out of me. I mean, it's just there's just no standards anymore. I think parents are more worried about their own feelings. It's again, I think it's part of the erosion of standards too. I mean, I think standards, the eroding of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gone now. There's no expectations. So it's almost like you're expected to be a train wreck.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some of that, definitely. You're almost expected to be a train wreck. I mean, that's kind of how they set you up. You don't know what gender you are. You don't know who you love or don't love.
Well, and just think if when I was in school, I never questioned my own even know, sexual orientation. I don't even know how to say it. But nobody put anything in my face either.
Right.
Nobody confused me. Nobody pushed in not that I can remember. I mean,
Nope.
Looking back, I would remember today if it happened.
I would say when I got into college, that's kind of when that stuff started of like.
Okay, so that was around the time I was in high school, but I don't remember that. Maybe.
But it wasn't even like trying to confuse people as much as it was at that time trying to convince the world they had a place in it, And I'm going to say, you do. I mean, no matter who you are, you have a place in the world. You have an identity. You have something to give the world, I think
everybody
belong.
does too. But
you have something special about you, but
But what's special about you is not your sexuality. It's not your religion. It's not that's not what you give to the world. What you give to the world are the tangible things. Out in a career or helping others or whatever, volunteering. Anybody can do that kind of stuff. And I don't think anybody's personal life, I'll just put it that way, should be a barrier to it. At the same time, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want it in my face every 5 seconds. Is that so terrible? I don't say that I'm straight to people over and over and over and just demand that they accommodate me. I mean,
that's because you're full of privilege, Andrew.
Well, yeah, but it's just sort of like, it's like I can't turn on the TV with it out in my face every waking minute. Yeah. It's like, God, F
for
you.
What has been, traditionally 2 to 4% of the population continues magically to grow somehow. And it's not enough that, you have to have one on every show. You have to,
the woke corporations.
The commercials are starting to get into it, and commercials are changing a ton too. And I don't have any problem with commercials using people of any race or whatever, but when you know that they're doing it just so that they're not being canceled, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, there's the pressure.
It shows that they will just go along with anything.
No, I mean, they will.
Have everybody in every commercial black. I don't care if they're the right person for the ad. They're the right person for the ad.
Quite frankly, I don't notice
Have at it.
I don't notice it. That's the weird part.
Yeah.
I notice it when I think it's fake, though.
Yes.
There's the token black guy. Okay.
But it's worse than that. You're almost at a point now where you have the token white guy.
Yeah. There's one straight white guy out of 10.
You have somebody that's black, somebody that's Asian, you have, somebody that's Hispanic.
We're spinning the diversity wheel.
Yeah, and then you happen to have a white person in there somewhere.
You got the couple, Butch and Tony.
Yeah.
There's
there's been a couple of those, and that's kind of uncomfortable when you have kids around and there's a couple of guys snuggling on the couch.
Why do you have to explain that? I mean, why is it that it's almost like it's to normalize it. I mean, that's the whole thing. But it forces you to address that with the kid who maybe isn't ready to listen and understand that. Look, if I were 8, 9, 10 years old, I have no idea what that means.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't know what the word gay meant. I didn't know anything about anything. And I'm so glad that I didn't.
Right.
Because I just didn't care. I was allowed to be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're
Me
not
too.
allowing. We're not
I was busy
allowing.
running through the woods and
the biggest problem I had was my batting average in baseball. It's just I don't know. It's just I know it's getting I get to the point where and by the way, these are the same people. Oh, the kid can't smoke till they're 21.
Right.
Kid can't, it's like, wait a minute. You're in elementary school.
Yes.
But you're worried if they start smoking.
Parents should have nothing to say about whether a child gets an abortion or not, and they should never be told, and by child I mean of childbearing age, 13, 12, 11, whatever. However, if they don't want to get a vaccine, we're going to force it into their body.
It's incredible. But there's inconsistency everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere. But
that's what they do.
All right. Jay, it's that time again. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this subject.
That's what your teachers are learning, folks.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll revisit it.
And it's what your schools are implementing because they're bringing it back from trainings. And
I hate everybody. I'm consistent. I hate everyone. Speaking of hate.
I love everybody.
Speaking of hate, we'll talk about love.
Yeah.
Once again, Community Solutions presents styling and profiling, jet flying, limousine riding, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. The spirit of Robert Tilton in the room. And the late Tammy Faye and Jimmy Baker.
Jimmy Baker's
Swaggart,
not dead.
Oral Roberts, who twice predicted that the world was going to end and he was going to give his life for the Lord Jesus Christ. As if being a preacher named Oral isn't funny enough. And, of course, the great Pat Robertson, all rolled into one. Community Solutions presents with the sign-off sermon, Jason Bradley.
Wow.
What an introduction.
You took everything that... I don't know whether I should be offended. This week. Maybe I should be offended with you too. I don't know.
I'm going for the jugular. I want it all this week.
Oh, how do I wrap all this up with a bow? It's infiltrated. It really, when you look at education is the problem. It is the problem. It is all of these people that go to these fancy universities, and now you don't have to go to a fancy one, you can go to anything, and they get this education that makes them so much more enlightened because they're watching out for all these social injustices. Well, it's not just these fancy universities. Corporations have corporate trainers, and that used to be about how to do your job better, maybe how to more effectively communicate. Well, now that's all race-based too. All about how to treat people with more equitably based on gender and sexual orientation. And you've got the teachers who are continually being taught on here's how you lead a classroom, and it's all about race, it's all about gender, it's all about sexual orientation, it's all about learning how to shut down the opposition so that you can create a society of activists that go out there and fight for this stuff. They become true believers. But yet, is that really the heart of our country? I fear, I hope it's not. I hope that that's not where we're headed, is that we're raising a generation of people who will take somebody's word for it, not do the research, and then fight for it as if their life depended on it. We really are raising a generation of people that have no idea what the truth is because they've been told that all truth is relative. Find your truth. There is no your truth. There is the truth. The truth. And the truth is, we're all created in the image of God. Every single last one of us. And what we do with that, we can follow it, we can run against it and rebel. We have the free will to do that, but we're going to pay a price. We're going to have consequences if we run against the very nature in which we were created. But yet, we continue to do this on a monthly, weekly, daily basis, right? We build lifestyles that center around us. Because, like, the universe revolves around us in some way, shape, or form. Like, we're the most important thing and everything else should revolve around us. I'm telling you, we have a problem. Because we have not spoke up, because we have went along to get along. And here we have, instead of going to church, people are in sports on Sundays. Instead of building up a solid foundation of morals and identity, instead of doing that, no, let's make sure that we fill kids' schedules up with dance class, art class, music lessons, TV time, having play dates, whatever it is. we have done a disservice to our children because we don't have them carrying the wood that we're chopping, or we don't have them mowing the lawn, or we don't have them doing character building things. Hey, you did this wrong. I want you to make it right. Those are the hard things to do, but we don't do them anymore. And I'm not saying everybody, but the good chunk of us, we don't do it anymore. We allow our children to get away with things, or we have a discussion with them, but we don't make them do the hard thing, the extra work, to apologize or to make a situation right. We don't show them that, hey, you have value, you have worth. Now, you're not God's gift to the earth, but you are one of God's gifts to the earth. And if you follow the path that was laid out, prepared before you, you will succeed if you work hard and you do it the right way. But if you follow your own heart in going into just foolishness, there is not ever going to be a place or a time where you arrive where you're supposed to arrive. You will come to the end of the line at some point, and you will look back on your life and say, what did I do? I didn't achieve the things I wanted to achieve. I achieved a lot of things, but I don't feel fulfilled. I did not ever find that thing that made me happy. Well, that's because you are allowing your children to go down this road. We have to stand up to our schools, stand up to our teachers, stand up to the teachers' unions, and we have to demand that our children be educated differently, that they be treated differently, that we don't want them to know this stuff, that we don't want them to have to go through comprehensive sexual education, that we don't want them to have to go through gender studies and equity training and critical race theory and critical gender theory, that we don't want it. And until we stand up in every school board hall in this country, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from the tip of International Falls down to the very tip of Texas, are we going to turn this around? We have each been created fearfully and wonderfully, but we're messing it up. And we're messing it up because we refuse to do the hard things. We're still so much about ourselves. The American dream is a great thing, but when we come up with lifestyles of vacationing and think about, oh, I've put in my 40 years, I'm going to retire, I'm checking out. Instead of taking our wisdom, taking our collective knowledge and what we've acquired in skills and talents over that 40 years or 15 years or 5 years, if you're younger, and not giving it back into your community, you're missing out, and you're missing the point of what it is to be an American citizen. I'm tired of having people every week making this call out and saying, hey, we have work to do. We have work to do, and watching people go about their lives and not making any changes, but sitting and complaining all the time about what's going on in Washington, D.C., complaining about what's going on in St. Paul, complaining about what's going on at City Hall, at their school board, but they don't do anything. We are on borrowed time. We are on borrowed time, and this country is looking for patriots. Looking for people to stand up and sacrifice their own comfort, looking to sacrifice their own wants and needs to save this country for their children and their children's children and their children's children's children. Because that's where we're at. We bring you these stories every week, and you guys listen to them. And we've got the links right out on our blog. Go to commsolutionsmn.com every week, and you can see the show notes and all of the links. We prove what we're talking about. This is not made up stuff. This is coming to your neighborhood if it has not, and in most places it has. Because especially with education, the state is driving a lot of this. Are our children worth it or not? What's more important? Going to the pub with your friends or making sure that your children are safe? What's more important? Having your tea time or going and speaking at your kid's school? Volunteering, putting in some time, making sure that the people know that there is another way out there. You might get ridiculed, so what? So what? You know, if we stand for what we believe in and we refuse to back down, and let people call us names and let people say whatever they want to about us being privileged and being racists and sexists and homophobes and transophobes and Islamophobes and whatever else they can come up with. Let them do it. And when we don't back down, they will see our strength. They will see how much we believe in what we say. That's admired. Maybe not by the activists on the other side, but the people who are silent, the people who aren't speaking out, the people who are scared. They're waiting for people to stand up on their behalf. Are you that person? Because we can't allow this to go one step further. We are at the edge of a cliff. And if we don't make the decision now to do something different, this country's gone. It's going to go over the cliff. We're going to go with it. We have to refuse to give up one more inch of ground. That doesn't mean we get violent. That doesn't mean that we have another January 6th. But that means we just refuse to be moved. We refuse to sit down. We refuse to shut up. Now, who's with us? You email us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And we will be certain to go and help you to be the most that you can be in your community. Why? Because we want to change this state. We want to be an example to the rest of the nation of what can be done when people reclaim what made America great to begin with. That we value our faith, our families, and our liberty. We love you, Minnesota, but now it's your turn to get to work. Let me